am attending Lithium and igneous rock science talks byproduct. Seizures, pondering. There's a bunch of big words. Let me help. But am I going to? Well, how jargony am I? Have I stepped out of my technical hat enough? Okay. So today is Wednesday, 17 June 2026, and here I, Tanis, She/Her/Hers of Seattle, reflect on my experience attending talks at scientific conferences on the topic of lithium and igneous rocks and a byproduct of pondering the origins of seizures. So I was in graduate school in geophysics, and as an undergrad and in graduate school, I studied igneous rocks. So those are including volcanic systems, are kind of like, so there's the ones that come to the surface of the earth, kind of like through a volcano. And then there's ones beneath the surface of the earth that get brought to the surface of the earth through possibly a little bit of a different set of processes. And one type of igneous rock that may not necessarily be spewed out through a volcano, so to speak, is granite. So if you ever heard of like granite countertops or anything like that, that's an example of an igneous rock, and that's a good one for this one, such as lithium, chemical element lithium. So lithium occurs in igneous rocks and volcanic systems. And so I attended a number of talks at scientific conferences on lithium in igneous rocks, and it is a fad material, necessary component of a lot of modern day electronic devices, lithium, and those devices components. And so it was kind of an interesting one to attend because, electronic devices are kind of like the end product of a lot of things, and there's a science and technology, right? And technology's not the origins of sciences. And so this is like, kind of like, there's how much lithium is present matters for the grade of ore and whether it can be mined or not for the material to be used in technology. But it also came to light that some people had interest in technology, but some people had interest in other realms of science, including pharmaceuticals. And lithium, come to find out, can be used in treating different medical disorders, such as, I don't know if you've ever heard of like bipolar disorder. And so it was kind of like, like lithium batteries or lithium ion batteries and stuff. And it was like, okay. And then there's like the pharmaceuticals. Oh, it's also used over here. And so it was just like, not necessarily in the science talks, but like afterwards and conversing. And a person who gives a talk or a poster presentation or something might be cognizantly aware of like where those natural materials end up. And so it was kind of like it was an interesting one, right? Sometimes people choose to study a particular chemical element in a natural system because like it's used in other places in society, such as medicine. And it turns out that like okay, so lithium, like, okay, well, cool, like it has use in the pharmaceuticals, but then there's like this little, like, we're scientists and we love to know what happens, like, we're like geologists, we're volcanologists, we're mineralogists, geochemists, that kind of stuff. And so it's like, well, it's cool to know what the chemical element does. Like in our system, we're like, it's like food, like cognitive hydration, like what does it do? Where is it? And then like the broaching of pharmaceuticals and being like, oh, hold up there. It's not quite the same over there as it is in geology. Like there's bad things that can happen from it. And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's like from an earth system. And so it's like, okay, so it can be used for treatment. Oh, that's great. But there's a catch, a symptom of that is like it can cause a seizure in a person. I'm like, I chose the right industry. I chose geology. Right? That sounds scary. I don't want to go to pharmaceuticals. And now I do cardiology, self-experimentation, like physiology research. And I still look at pharmaceuticals and I'm like, no pills. Right? Like, some of that actually comes from attending science talks in geology, geophysics, geochemistry, and being like, oh, like, it doesn't work the same. Like, I like my little, like, what does it do cool thing, which is like my self-experimentation of, yes, there might be an undesirable like symptom, but like I still got to learn what it does to a system, versus like the pharmaceuticals is like, you know, like I try to keep my stuff like only carrot, and the pharmaceuticals like carrot and stick, and I'm like, ooh, you know. So it was a it was an interesting one, and so I was like, but this but the Caesars like Julius Caesar, the seizures don't originate with the rock. But I was like, do I have confidence that society would understand that because lithium comes from a volcano, the volcano didn't cause the seizure? And I was just like, you know, like as a scientist, like, I mean, you know, half my audience watches this and they go, oh my gosh, that's it. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works. But I was just like, oh my gosh, like, there are people who don't know that. Like, I've become so isolated in my little geology bubble that, like, you know, that thing that like I can connect the dots even without somebody saying it. Like, you know, other people might be like, but that sounds logical. It's not actually the overdose of lithium that causes it, or the whatever. Right. Like it's the volcano. It's like, no, the volcano is not lashing out at you. But like, but maybe it is. And so, and it was an interesting one because volcanoes specifically, like there are certain volcanoes that have very like cult or like spiritual followings. So like just also being cognizant of like, for some, that lithium from the volcano is the origin of the seizures, and that won't change no matter how much I science speak them, right? So that was an interesting one. So yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, a lot of pondering can come from becoming technically proficient in my research area. This is per the past. So I was kind of like, I haven't even gone there for like a, you know, Greek language and literature degree. I'm like, you know, if that happens, that's something to have the adventure of discovery, you know, kind of as I live it, kind of like with this particular pairing. So there we go. That's an attending lithium and igneous rock science talks byproduct seizures pondering.